Hello everyone, hope you're doing well and I hope you all have a fantastic bank holiday weekend. I've got 3 barbecues in 4 days. I mean, it's probably not a good idea, okay? But I must confess, I love a barbecue. It's my favourite social gathering. It shows, but I enjoy them. That's all that matters, right? I'm going with it anyway. 3 barbecues. Cannot wait. Love a barbecue. So, whatever you're doing, I hope you have a good one. Sun is shining. Looks like we've got glorious weather today. And yeah, enjoy yourselves. So in today's video, we've got 3 topics and 2 transfer rumours. So first of all, we've got Mikhail Antonio. The reports that David Moyes isn't going to sanction a big money move for 8 other striker in the summer transfer window, and Antonio will be the striker at West Ham next season. We've got contract talks, or should I say no contract talks, for Thomas Soucek and David Bowen. The reports are that they're going on the back burner. Not that they're not going to get new deals, just not yet. They're going to have to wait until the transfer window has come to a close. And then lastly, a couple of transfer rumours. We've got Nathan Ake and Zinchenko, Man City. Zinchenko. Touchy subject for me still, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Because first we're going to start with the striker reports. Now, the one advantage of doing videos late on. So I'm recording this at 10 AM, so it'll go up at 5 PM tonight. So obviously in between now and 5 PM, things will happen. Things will move on in sort of the West Ham world, if you like. Then in the comments of the video, people will often mention stuff that's come out since I've recorded, if that makes sense, and that usually gives me an idea for the video for the following days. So yesterday people were discussing the reports that Antonio will be the #1 striker at West Ham next season. So thank you for your suggestions, even if you didn't mean it. I'm pinching it. Anyway, so the reports are pretty self-explanatory now. David Moyes will not be sanctioning a big money move for a striker next season. Mikhail Antonio is the striker. Now this doesn't surprise me for a few reasons. First of all, I think David Moyes just likes Mikhail Antonio. I think it's that simple. I think David Moyes trusts Mikhail Antonio. This season he's been relatively injury free. At the start of the season just gone, we all had doubts over Antonio lasting the full season. We were all expecting his hamstrings to go, weren't we? They didn't. I think that's probably increased David Moyes' sort of trust in Mikhail Antonio. And there's not many strikers like him out there. I think the closest thing you can get in the Premier League is Ollie Watkins. I think he's the perfect striker for West Ham. I think he's the perfect striker for David Moyes at West Ham. But he's going to cost a lot of money. Which sort of leads me on to point number 2, which is I don't think we've got as much money as being made on. Because there was some reports a few months ago that West Ham got approximately 150 million to spend. I mean, they were just rubbish. I've never believed them for a second. I've sort of mentioned it in a few videos. I'm not going to bang on about it. But I don't like it when stuff like that comes out because I think it's misleading and it sort of builds hopes and possibly even expectations of some fans. And I'm aware it's sort of just paper talking that, but they're claiming to have received this information from someone trustworthy, and I just don't really see that being the case, do I? So as a guess, I reckon we've got between 60 and 70 million to spend this summer. I think it's a healthy budget, but I don't think it's quite that big. And 60 to 70 million is usually a big budget for West Ham. When you look at what we need this summer, it's suddenly not that big, is it? And if David Moyes was to go and sanction a 50 million spend up on one player, it doesn't leave much wiggle room. Because we need to get a few bodies in, we need a couple of upgrades as well. There's a lot of work to be done. So it sort of backs up the theory that Moyes is keen, if you like, to offload 1 or 2 of these players, whether it be Vlasic or Benrahma or Soucek. He's willing to listen to offers for them to boost the kitty. Obviously, when I say 70 million, that's without us selling players, for clarity, in case we do spend 150, but we've sold a couple of players as well. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Moyes does have 150 million. I just don't believe it. So let's just say I am correct, just for a minute. Not often, but just for the next minute, pretend I'm correct that we've got 70 million to spend. Spending 50 on one player, it's not feasible, is it? Because then that leaves you 20 million to do the rest of the squad. I don't see it. I don't see Moyes spending 2/3 of his budget on one player this summer. Not when you've got loads of work to do. I think you're only buying 3 players, and certainly, but we're not, are we? We're in the market for 5, 6, 7 players, and there's a lot of work to be done. So it doesn't surprise me. But lastly, what the report doesn't sort of cover, it sort of says Antonio will be the main striker at West Ham, but it doesn't say that West Ham won't bring in a striker. And I think that's important. Sometimes it's not what the report says, it's what the report doesn't say. And what it doesn't say is that Antonio will be the only striker at West Ham. West Ham won't bring in another striker this summer. And I am hopeful that we will. And then if you get rid of the big money move ones, fine. But then there's plenty of other strikers that we have been linked to, or plenty of other strikers out there that could come in and do a job at West Ham. Certainly start the season as understudy to Mikhail Antonio. I think Amanda Broha comes under that himself. 25 million, the rumoured price tag. I don't consider that as the big money move. I consider that as fitting in with this report that Antonio will be the striker and Broha will essentially start off the season as backup to Antonio. Hopefully he becomes successful and becomes the striker at West Ham. So it doesn't mean we won't sign a striker, it just won't be, I always call it big ticket signings, the ones that are big bucks and they come straight into your starting 11, those types. We need a couple of them this summer, we do. But your left back, if you want one for left back, you're looking at 20-25 million. Striker, you're looking at 50 million. And it just, it doesn't surprise me, this report, and I actually believe it. I actually believe we won't go and sign a £50 million striker. It is a bit disappointing. And I think the reason it's a bit disappointing is because it's a bit scary. And a lot of people have similar beliefs to myself, that the season just gone, that if we had a striker, we were able to rest Antonio, if we were able to take him out of the team while he's not been in the greatest of form and put him back in. Antonio himself has said he wants another striker at West Ham. So a lot of us sort of, it's history repeating itself, isn't it? We feel that with the additional striker last season, we could have perhaps done a little bit better. And I think it feeds in, it sort of fuels the fire, if you like, of worry that we won't bring in a striker and we're going to be going into next season with Antonio and only Antonio. What's plan A? In form Antonio. What's plan B? Out of form Antonio. What's plan C? Pray for out of form Antonio. I don't think we'll be in that situation next season. I do think there'll be a other striker at the club, and it might be plan A, in form Antonio. Plan B will be in form, hopefully, Broha. I would like Broha. In form Broha, and plan C is out of form Broha. Do you know what I mean? I think we'll have more alternatives next season. It won't just be Antonio, which is what I think the report's alluding to. Not quite getting along with it. Anyway, before we get into another couple of things, just really want to quickly mention our Patreon at patreon.com/Hammers Chat. We're doing our best to do content over this summer. It's obviously a bit more difficult without matches, but last night Gonzo did a Q&A with Kieran Maguire, the money man in football, if you like, that appears on Sky Sports and BBC. He's been on this channel a few times as well. So Gonzo did a Q&A with them. The patrons submit the questions. We've also teamed up with Euro Expert across the summer transfer window to bring very, very quick videos on players that West Ham are linked to we perhaps haven't heard of. So he's started with Naif Aguerd, so it's a 75-second video, just loads of information about him in 75 seconds. Later this month we've got a Q&A with Tony Carr as well for patrons only, where patrons submit the questions to Tony Carr. So if you want to support the channel, the link's in the description, patreon.com/Hammers Chat. All support is much appreciated. We've got a few giveaways as well. I've got a signed Fabianski shirt, that's done. We've got a signed Noble shirt and a signed Elise shirt given away to patrons this month. And obviously they receive discount at our online store. So thank you very much if you head over there and check us out. Now moving on to the next news. Soucek and David Bowen are wanting new deals at West Ham. And we'll get new deals at West Ham, sounds like, but just not yet. The reports are that we're putting them on the back burner till the transfer window is shut. Now, I have different opinions for this kind of thing. It's two different situations, isn't it? The David Bowen one, I sort of get it. I think, his contract length's comfortable. He's still got 3 years to go. We're comfortable with that. Obviously, he probably deserves a pay rise after, a really good season and then a fantastic season. I think he's our most important player. To get him to sign up to an additional couple of years, to keep him happy, I think is important. But I don't think it needs to be done right now and today. However, it goes back to that thing that Gonzo keeps harping on about sort of messaging from the club. And I think announcing a new deal for David Bowen whilst he's on England duty, I don't think it would have been a bad thing. I think that could have only have helped us. But I kind of understand why the club are perhaps patient with the David Bowen one. As far as we're aware, there's not really any disputes or any unhappiness as far as David Bowen's concerned. He's not demanding a new contract necessarily. So I think that situation seems quite relaxed, and therefore it makes me sort of quite relaxed as well. In regards to Thomas Soucek, it's completely different. He's been wanting a new deal for, nearly 12 months now, ever since we signed Kurt Zouma, essentially. He was, Ham of the Year, a big part of the reason we finished 6th and got Europa League. He then wanted to see his wages increased. He never got that contract. Zouma's come in essentially and double what he's on. I think that's made him a little bit unhappy. He's wanted a new deal. He's still not got a new deal. And it's gone on all season. And then we get told towards the end of the season, David Moyes doesn't want to give him a new deal because of his form. Again, you could argue that, I will argue that I think that sort of contract dispute may have an impact on his form. It may not, but I think it's fair to assume it might have had an impact. Not the only reason, by the way. Not the main reason of that, but just a little part of it. I think that's the thing with Soucek. I think there's like 4, 5, 6 different things we can all come up with as to reasons why Soucek's form perhaps wasn't as good as it was the season before. And I think the contract dispute would be one of those reasons. So this summer, I'm not going to lie, I was hoping we would get it resolved pretty sharpish. I was hoping that we'd get it resolved. And it's almost like, a problem sorted. We've got a few sort of things needing resolved this summer, haven't we? Soucek's one of them. Ben Johnson's another one. And, you obviously we've got the Declan Rice thing that we need sort of a plan for as a club. We need to plan for what's happening with Declan Rice, whether he signs a new deal or whether he doesn't. And then also we need to do the summer transfer business. David Moyes has obviously got to get a new coach or two in as well to replace Stuart Pearce. There's a lot going on. Even the club, I think this is where I think we're heading into our final year with Umbro. I could be wrong. So there's a big sponsorship deal for the club to be doing in the next 12 months as well. So a lot going on at West Ham, and Soucek's one of them. I just hoped that we could announce a new deal for Soucek. Problem solved. We don't have to worry about him. Hopefully we see a better Soucek next season. Hopefully he can enjoy his summer a little bit now that his future is all cleared up. But it does make sense in theory not to give him a new deal if, and it's a big if it's true that Moyes is willing to listen to offers for Soucek. Because if we are exploring the option of replacing him and selling him this summer, again, this is not what I want to see, just to be clear, before someone says, why would you sell Soucek? I'm not saying that. I'm going by the reports. If we are going to sell him, I think it would be a little bit foolish to give him a new deal, wouldn't it? Because it would suggest to any club potentially wanting to buy him that he's happy at West Ham. You're not getting him go away, and it doesn't always happen, but usually a new deal in football sort of calms the transfer speculation down a little bit. If Jared Bowen signed a new deal this summer, you'd be shocked if he then moved this summer, wouldn't you? And I think that's the thing with Soucek. If David Moyes is genuinely wishing to sell him or potentially wishing to sell him, then I think it would be silly to give him a new deal. The big problem I've got with this, with Soucek in particular, is the season starts at the start of August and the window continues for the next month. So that's a whole month of football that Soucek's going to be at West Ham with this contract dispute, if you like, up in the air, and we're not even going to deal with it until another month at best time. I think that's risky. I would have liked to have seen this wrapped up one way or another, whether it's we sell him or we give him a new deal. I would have liked the Soucek thing to be wrapped up before the season kicks off, so everybody knows where they stand. So the manager, the player, the teammates all know where we stand with Soucek, and the fans, of course. I don't think that matters too much. One pet peeve I've got is when somebody sort of criticises the performance of a player or whatever, and someone says, "Oh, why don't you just support the player?" I think it's possible to do both, right? So when I said the fans there, I think the fans would support Soucek regardless of his contract dispute or anything like that. But in terms of Soucek, I think he needs this sorted, and I would have just liked to have been done before the season kicks off. So that's my big issue. Anyway, enough about Soucek and Bowen. That's the reports. No new deal for them until the window's shut, so we'll wait and see for that one. And then we've got a couple of transfer rumours to mention briefly, because I don't want to go into them too much on the next transfer rumour show. So we've got Ake. That's just not going to be happening, is it? It's if we sign the Figueiredo, who is still close to signing, played for Morocco last night. I didn't watch it, but I'm hoping to catch the highlights at least. I'm starting to do a little bit of a gonzo on him and watch some bits and pieces. Now he looks like he's going to be a West Ham player. So Ake, let's dismiss that straight away. Zinchenko's an interesting one, because the reports are that he and Ake have been told that should a sufficient transfer bid come in for them, Man City are willing to accept it and allow them to leave so they can go and pursue first team football. A lot of talk around Manchester City signing Cucurella or 8 other left back, and we've heard from the chairman the last week of City saying that they're not finished their transfer business yet. They've got Haaland, they've got, is it Alvarez, the young striker from Argentina who scored, was it 5 goals he scored the other night? I mean, I watched, it was on Twitter, I was going, and his highlights were there, so I just started watching it. He looks like a player, doesn't he? I know he's sort of highly regarded as one of the best youngsters, one of the best strikers in world football, and one of the best prospects and stuff, but I can't claim I watch Argentinian football, but I saw his highlights, his goals he scored. His movement was sensational in it. It doesn't matter what league you're in, if you can time your run to perfection, you're timing your run to perfection. I thought he was sensational, but anyway, the City chairman has confirmed that they're not finished yet. They've got more business to do. The left back seems like the obvious one. Hopefully it's not Declan Rice. Go away. But the left back seems like the one, which would be the end for Zinchenko possibly. Now 30 million is a rumoured price tag. I've got 2 opinions on him. I've got 3. First of all, he was fantastic against Scotland and broke my heart last night. Nice one, Zinchenko. But he did tear us a new one. And I know people say, well, that's not difficult. And Yarmolenko scored a world-class goal, didn't he? I should have known that was going to happen. Just ball over the top, fantastic first touch, and he just lobs the keeper from just inside the 18-yard box. Stunning goal from Yarmolenko. Look it up, you haven't. Yarmolenko, Ukraine goal, Scotland. Look it up, watch it. Fantastic goal. But Zinchenko was man of match by far last night for Ukraine. I thought he was brilliant. Now, as a left back, I wouldn't want him at West Ham. Not for 30 million. I think being a left back at Man City and a left back at West Ham is two completely different things. I think you need different skills. I think your defensive attributes need to be a lot bigger and dependable at West Ham than it is at Man City. And we saw David Bowen running ragged at the London Stadium a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? I don't think Zinchenko as a left back at West Ham would fill me with much confidence. I'd be a little bit wary of it, especially for 30 million. Going forward, really good on the ball, but just defensively, a little bit suspect. But for Ukraine, he sort of plays on the left of a midfield three. He always has done. He's always playing centre midfield for Ukraine. And he's brilliant at it. Not just last night, but even in the Euros, I thought he had a good individual tournament for them. He's always done well in centre midfield for Ukraine. And last night was no different. And that sort of intrigues me a little bit. I'll be honest with you. That's one player I think Moyes wouldn't mind a bit of that in midfield. Defensively, in midfield is a lot different to left back. So the defensive side of his game in midfield is really good. Gets forward really well. His passing's fantastic. Some of his passing last night was superb. I think he set up the third goal for them as well. You can tell he's a Man City player when he plays for Ukraine, if that makes sense. You can just tell he's good enough to play for Man City on the ball. Would love that at West Ham. 30 million. I mean, it's not expensive, is it, for a centre midfielder? When John McGinn's 50, and I like John McGinn a lot. I think John McGinn and Moyes would get on perfectly well. But I think he's good value at 50 million. Zinchenko at 30 million as a centre midfield option at West Ham intrigues me. But not just because of that, but because we need a squad next season where a few of the players can play more than one position and play that position well. We know we've got Ben Johnson. We know Creswell can do it. We know Antonio can do it. David Moyes can do it as well. Declan Rice can obviously do it. So to have another player like Zinchenko that can cover left back at least and also play midfield to a very high standard would not be a bad option at all. Would not be a bad option. So Zinchenko at West Ham, yes, but not as a left back, and I don't necessarily believe the transfer rumours. Anyway, there you go. 3 topics, 2 transfer rumours. Let me know your thoughts on it all in the comments. And like I said, there'll probably be something else that's come out between now and the video going live. So I look forward to seeing what you say about those things in the comments to trigger my opinions for tomorrow's video. Like I said, Patreon links in the description below if you don't mind checking it out. And be much appreciated. All the support we can get. We obviously lose quite a few patrons in the summer because people join up in August, watch the additional videos for the season and then leave in the summer, which makes sense, but it's just a bit scary when you're doing it as a job, that's all. But links in the description if you fancy checking it out. Enjoy your bank holiday, everyone. I'm going to enjoy my barbecue. I'll catch up with you tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel. See you in a bit.